Okay, guys, this is my fourth attempt this morning. If I had all the time in the world to do this, it would have worked right the first time. But anyway, we're going to show you today's assignment. First of all, we're going to look at the form that you filled out in the last class. And I wanted to point out that I actually created this in an Excel spreadsheet. I know that Excel is for calculations and things, but it's also a wonderful tool for creating forms, okay? On your form, you will notice these names right here. These are your field names. So when we enter it into our database, these are going to be the titles at the tops of our columns. The information you have here, those are your entries. And for every section of information, this is on one person, so that's going to be a record. This is on another person, so that's going to be another record. So we're going to take this information today and we're going to enter it into a database. Now, our screens are a little bit different. Yours, you hit Start, Programs, Microsoft Office, and Access. And I believe on your computer, Access has a key. This is what Windows 8 looks like. I'm going to click on Blank Database, and I'm going to get this form that asks me to save it from the very beginning. So I want to put Address Book, and I'm going to say Create. Now, some people make the mistake of starting here. What I want to do is I want to design the database. I want to set it up and tell it what are going to be my field names, what type of information is going to go in each one. And to do that, I have to come over here to View and go to Design View. Again, I have to name what the table in Design View is going to be. And if you do more than one table, then of course you want different names. But to make it easy, I'm just going to call it Address Book. Now, this little key is called a primary key. In databases, there's always one column that has unique identifiable information that you don't want to duplicate anywhere. So if I was an employee and put employee numbers, that's what I would put. Today is a smaller database. We don't have that, so we're just going to use first name as our primary key. So here's what I want to caution you. You don't want your primary key to have any duplicates. So if you have two Joes, then you need to put JOE for one and JOES for the other, because if they're both the same, it's going to give you an error message telling you that you've got duplicate information. So I'm going to put first name here. I'm going to use my tab key and tell it that this is going to be short text. It's just a little bit of information. Last name is my next field. Whoops, let me go back and fix this. And then tab, again, that's short text. Over here, description, this is basically what is all this about. So maybe if you wanted to, you could say put the first name here. The reason I would use this is, let's say I'm working in an office and I have to go out on vacation and someone else has to enter a new employee's information while I'm out. If they get to a screen and they don't know what to do, they can come to Design View and read my memos, which are in the description, and find out what information I want. So let's come to the next one, which is street address. Again, short text. City, state. Can't type this morning. Now, state, we're going to do something different. Yes, it's going to be short text, but I want to tell it I want a 2-digit state abbreviation. So down here where it says field size, I'm going to highlight this and change it to 2. That means when I'm entering the data in the data sheet view, it's only going to allow me to put 2 characters in that space. And I can come here by description and I can put 2-digit state abbreviation. All right. Coming back, I've got zip code. I'm going to put zip code as text, and I'll tell you why. Later on, we're going to talk about something called an input mask. And if you're familiar with zip codes, sometimes zip codes have just the first set of numbers. Sometimes it has a dash and another set of numbers. If I'm using that dash, it ends up being text because a dash is not a number. Usually numbers are used for things that you can calculate, but we're going to be using it for a couple of different things. Right now, I'm just going to put this as text, and as we get into more advanced databases, then we'll talk about when to use numbers and when to use something called an input mask, okay? I come back next Thursday, and there's an activity I'm going to teach you that shows you what an input mask is and how it works, and that would be used for things like birthdays, social security numbers, things that have dashes or other structures, parentheses and things like that in it. All right, so birthday. And if I could spell, I'm not going to worry about it because this is my 4th recording. So let's get this right so I can get it to you on time. This is going to be date and time. So down here where it says format, if I click on this box, I get a little arrow over here on the right. If I click down, I'm going to choose short date. Okay? That's how it's going to show up on my next screen. And then favorite food, which is, again, short time. Now, my first name, remember, is my primary key. If I was doing something and I wanted to change that primary key, I could just right-click and move it, but today we're going to leave it at short name. Now that I've set up how I want my database to be, what type of data, what my field names are, I'm going to go back to Datasheet View. So I click on View, Datasheet View. It's going to ask me to save. That's one of the cool things about databases that ask you to save all the time so you're not losing your data. All right, now this is the form where I fill in the information. So this is where you go to that first section and start filling in. So Teresa. I'm using the tab key. Look here, I'm in state. And remember I said it is a 2-letter abbreviation? Let me turn my volume up so you can hear this. I'm going to try to type north. Hear what's happening? There's a little bell going off. That is telling me that there's only two spaces available. So I have to go back and do my 2-letter state abbreviation for that to work. Zip code. I'm just going to do the basic zip code today. We'll talk about input mask when I get back to work. Not going to tell you when. Okay. All right. And then S-H-E-A. And then to get to the next row, I just hit the tab key. Now, even though the 2 names I'm putting here have the same address, the names in the primary key field here are different, so it'll work. I'll tell you his birthday, but not mine. All right. You have 4 entries. When you are done with the 4, you're going to put your name. Let me just pick a name. Here's one for my other class. All right. That way, whenever you print this, I know who it belongs to. Now, let me give you a few pointers about databases. Later on, you're going to be doing databases with a lot more information. Never, ever, ever enter your information up and down and keep going like this. You always enter across, and I'll tell you why. When you close a database, let's say you have a power surge or the bell rings or you just didn't quite get finished before the end of class. When you close it and reopen it, it's going to put it in ABC order. So if I closed it right now and reopened it, Philip would come first, or well, Jack would come and then Philip and then Teresa, okay? So it's going to rearrange things. I do know my ABCs. I'm just trying to get all this stuff done in a hurry. Okay, so you don't want to enter up and down. You want to enter straight across so that you've got a complete set of information. Otherwise, it's going to scramble the order, and then you're going to have to figure out what's supposed to go with what line, all right? I also want to point out, see right here where it says address and it cuts it off? I can double click and then I can see all the information. And I need you to do that so when I'm reading, you can see it. Now to print it, you're going to save it. You just hit save because you've already named it. For printing, and they've changed this, thank goodness, because it was such a bear last time, I want you to go to print preview. Because in print preview, you can see if everything's on the page. And if it's cut off, right up here, it gives you the option right here to put it in landscape, and then you know everything's on one page. Make sure that I can see all the information. Make sure whatever you entered is school appropriate, please. I didn't require you to put actual information, but I do require it to be school appropriate. Once that is done, you can hit print and tell it to print. I'm going to cancel because I've already got a copy of this, and you can close this and close it on out. You remember you save it before you close it, all right? I'm not having you upload this one to Google Classroom because I can't see the features I need to see in Google Classroom. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is an online database that you're going to use to search information today. Now, you're going to go to Expedia.com and you're going to type in a couple of different flights and grab some information to fill into your database. Now, let's look at these questions at the end. It says, what are the field names? My field names are the titles of what I'm looking for. So flight number, departure city, departure time, length of flight, number of stopovers, airline, city, arrival, date leaving, and cost, okay? So when it says, what are my field names? It's all these 10 names, all right? What is the name of the database? Expedia.com. How many entries? The entries are what you put in each little spot. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for each one, and there's 5 that I'm looking for. So 5 times 10 is what? 50. So there are 50 entries in this record of search. All right, and how many records are there? There's 5. You're looking for 5 complete records. Remember, each of these little spots is an entry. The collection of all the information for one is a record, so you have 5 records. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Expedia.com and we're going to look up this information. I'm going to show you how to find it. All right? You guys use Firefox, so let me go there. And we'll go to Expedia.com. All right, make sure you're clicking on flights. You don't want to have to worry about any of this other stuff. And no, we don't need to track changes. Let's just close that out. All right, so let's say I'm flying out of Charlotte, and you can click, and then let's say today I want to go to New York. As you're typing, you choose which New York airport you want. Do I want to go to JFK? Do I want to go near New York? Let's go to JFK. The date I'm departing, let's say I'm departing tomorrow and returning next week. There, and just put 1 adult. Don't worry about all that other kind of stuff and say search. Now, remember, you're just searching the database. You're not buying a ticket, so don't confirm anything. The way this shows up, it's searching and it's looking for the different airlines and how long it would take to get there and price and things like that. Now, here we go. On your sheet, okay, we're going to go through this. First, it says flight number. So let's just pick one of these guys and say show details. Okay. Now, if I'm looking at this, let me scroll up so you can see it. This is a direct flight, meaning that it's nonstop. You can see right here, and you're just getting on one airplane. So when I'm looking for my flight number, it's US Airways flight 1834. Can you see this? Okay, so that's my flight number. Departure city, I'm leaving from Charlotte. Departure time, I'm leaving at 6:35 p.m. Length of flight is 1 hour, 57 minutes. Number of stopovers, that means do I have to get off the plane and get on another plane? And in this case, no, it's a direct flight. So you say 0. Airline is US Airways. Arrival city is New York, okay? And arrival time, 8:32 p.m. Date leaving, what date am I getting on this plane? And I'm looking for it. I know we put it in. Someone's probably going, it's right there, it's right there. Here we go, October 29th, okay? And the cost of the trip is right here, $391.70. So when you get done with that, you're just going to arrow back and you're going to choose a different flight. Make sure you're putting all this information in. And when I go back to flights, let's choose a different one. I'm leaving Charlotte. This time, let's go someplace like Hawaii. That way we can have a stopover. All right, we'll go to Honolulu. We'll try to stay away from we'll just leave the dates the same just to see what happens. As soon as this loads. I'm showing you two because I want to show you the difference with stopovers and how to add the time, okay? Waiting for it to load. Okay, now if I pick on one, these are my details, all right? Now you can just kind of start at the stop and go down if you want. The total time is 21 hours, 38 minutes, and there's 2 stops. So that answers a bunch of questions for you right there. And so you don't have to do them in order. You can go for the length of the trip, 21 hours, 38 minutes, 2 stops. You can see your departure time, your departure city, your arrival time, and your arrival city, and your cost are all up here, okay? Your date is here, all right? You typed this in, so this is your date you're leaving, your date you're arriving, all right? Your date you're coming back, I'm sorry. Okay, so you've got your departure city, which is Charlotte, your airline, which is U.S. Airways, flight number 1812, the length of flight you've got, the number of stopovers. So let's look at this. We're here in Charlotte, we land in Boston, and then we land in San Francisco. So we had 2 stopovers. We left Charlotte, we stopped here, and then we went. So we had to change planes 2 times. So that's my stopovers. Now, if you get that messed up, I'm not real worried about it. I just need you to see that this is what a stopover is, okay? So arrival and cost, most of your information is right up here in a summary, okay? And that's all you really need to do. So you're doing 5 different ones. Remember to fill in your questions at the bottom. You don't have to print anything. You just have to put your name on it and put it in the bin. And the whole point of this is so you can see how an online database works, okay? So let me close this out. Don't want that. Okay. I'm going to stop this now. I will be back next Thursday, and what I want to do with spreadsheets is just kind of push them aside until we've spent some time in databases, and then I'm going to bring spreadsheets back up and take you into some functions we didn't get to go into. There's too many people getting confused, and I feel like I could help you better if I'm there. So let's focus on databases. I will post this video to a link on Google Classroom in case you need to see it again. Good luck, God bless, and I'll see you next week.